2025 meeting, the Danville Public Works Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Bob Iverson, Mike O'Kane,
Here.
Jim Pichard,
Here.
Carolyn Wands, Heidi Wilson,
Present.
Ed Butler,
Here.
Chairman Mike Poore,
Present.
6 present.
6 present. Let the minutes reflect Alderman Iverson is absent due to illness. Okay, moving on to item number 2, the approval of the minutes. These will be from the January 14th, 2025 meeting. If there are no corrections, need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Item number 3 is approval of the agenda. There are no deletions from the agenda, so need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to item number 4, audience comments.
Thank you, Chairman. Has everyone had a chance to complete an audience participation card who wishes to speak this evening? Okay, thank you. When I call your name, please come to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. First, I have Deontay Brooks of Danville regarding cannabis.
Good evening, everyone. I came today, I want to tell you guys a personal story. I'm a 2-time combat veteran, and opioids have impacted my family heavily. My wife's mother, my uncle, both had medical conditions where they relied on opioids, and it cost them their lives. I seek medical help for different ailments because I'm a disabled veteran. And I don't like having to hide in the dark for things that help me. I think we need a communal space. I shouldn't have to get whatever I need to help me mentally and physically and then run home and hide in my house. Maybe I need to be in a space where I talk to people. Maybe we can give each other suggestions and we can help each other heal. Because I can't go to the VA because it's federally not allowed. So my psychiatrist can't even talk to me about it. Even when I tell her that, hey, this helps. When I talk to other veterans, we say, hey, this helps. This helps me not drink myself to death, not be on nicotine, crack cocaine, all the kind of stuff all these veterans are doing, and it's destroying their lives. This is something that's very harmless for the most part, you know what I mean? But I've had a lot, since I've been here, I've had about 6 veterans either kill themselves or drink themselves to death, trying to find something to soothe the pain that they have. And last time I checked, I haven't seen nobody overdose from marijuana, kill themselves from marijuana. So when we're talking about harm reduction, I think this can help a lot of people, soothe a lot of people's souls. And we can commune, we can talk to each other about things versus hiding in the dark, because that's what a lot of people are doing, because it's a stigma to it. And I think we have a chance to change that today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Brad Zimmerman regarding 7 Point proposed cannabis consumption lounge.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I was gonna print off a ton of these, but I had a little printer problem, so I'm gonna give you one, and then I could email it also to you. Thanks for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to bring up a few points about the proposed consumption lounge that, overall seems like pretty solid. But there's like a few things in here that I wanted to address in case you guys wanted to reconsider any of these issues. The one issue, which it's not that big of a deal, just the mayor could shut down the business anytime, it really contradicts like most of the ordinance, which says it lays out what would happen for you to lose your license for a lounge. So I wanted you guys to consider that. I understand the issue about the not being able to smoke on the outside patio. We have a real little patio wouldn't generate too much smoke because there'd probably only be a few tables out there. But I want to put it back to you that, like, in the long term, I understand maybe there'd be some development over there and there'd be some reasons why, people wouldn't want it to smell like cannabis. I totally get that. But right now, there's not much going on over there. The way I figured it, we've got two neighbors that it would affect potentially. One would be the Best Western right next door. Another would be the Econo Lodge right behind us, who doesn't really seem to have any customers. So, there's really no people hanging outside these hotels ever. We've been here for almost a year. So, like, what I would propose is that, I'm open to like a trial period where you guys could say, okay, let's try it. And if we go to the Best Western and the Econo Lodge and they say, no, it's bothering us, then we won't do it. But I just want to put it out there that it wouldn't affect anyone in the landscape the way it looks today in that area. And we do have very tall wood, beautiful fencing so it's completely private patio back there. No one would be able to see any of the people. I also understand there's some issues that really keep floating around about there were some rental issues of like the lounge in Tilton that, had some issues with police and after hours parties. So, I get that you'd be concerned about that, having known what happened out there. But like in our situation, we're not going to operate the lounge if we're approved any way like them at all. First of all, they bring in cannabis from the street every day. That's allowed there. We're never going to do that. And if we have a function or something like that where, someone has a birthday party or whatever, we're not going to operate that space any differently than we would if it was open to the public during that day. So, for example, right now our store closes at either 8 or 9, depending on what day of the week it is. If the lounge got approved, we'll probably just stay open till 9 every night in the store and keep the security guard there, and we'll have a couple employees in the lounge that are dispensary lounge employees. And whether there's someone in the space that rented it for their own family or whatever, or it's open to the public, our servers are still going to be in and out of that room, just like they would be if it was open to the public, because people are going to buy cannabis from us and then they're going to want to potentially smoke it in something. We're going to be able to offer those devices free of charge, but we're cleaning those devices, we're bringing them to the table. We're still going to do that if there's a birthday party in there or if it's just a trivia night. It's not going to make any difference. When we're at 10 o'clock, we're shutting down, no matter what. Our security guard stays with us and walks out with us when we turn the alarm on and everything. So if you guys want to reconsider the event space, for us, it's not going to make any difference from like a public safety issue or, breaking the rules, or we're still going to have our people in there. Our guard will still walk in that room and tour the room just like he tours the dispensary, or she, and the surrounding property. So I think that, I think it will end up being a nice space eventually, and people are going to want to do stuff in there. And, we should probably let them. Because the rules will be followed the same way. Plus, we're taking the chief's advice on a number of things, including a metal detector. So whether it's a party or not a party, everyone who walks through the door is walking through the metal detector. So, if there's any shenanigans going on, we're going to know right away on some of those things. But like open alcohol and people bringing in alcohol or even bringing in soft drinks, that's not allowed. Because, they could bring food in and eat it, but they can't bring in drinks because we don't know what's in it. So, all those rules would still apply to anyone who walks in the door, whether it was an event or, a public event. We bought all this stuff before, but it seems like people aren't using it. But now that we're talking about the lounge and we're talking about public safety, and, you know, just recently, I think there was some irate customer, and it would have been better, you know, we're learning about the interior communication. So we're going to make sure that, like, the lounge staff and the security and the staff on the floor in the dispensary have the you know, so that they can communicate with each other. And we, like, bought some of the stuff, and we bought walkie-talkies all for that purpose. But I guess it wasn't implemented. So now we're talking with our security team so that we could get the most comfortable kind of ear stuff so people won't mind using it. And then if there is a security issue, everyone could talk to each other. And, you know, our security is stationed half the time in the lobby, half the time in the store, and then they'll be in the lounge too. So anyway, so that's a few of the issues. And then there's one more issue that, to me, it's a mistake that you guys just made, because I don't think it applies, and it really wouldn't work at all. The part about the unsealed cannabis. So this section, it really would need to be deleted in its entirety, because the Cannabis Act in Illinois doesn't regulate consumption lounges, but you guys in that section are regulating that people wouldn't be able to leave a lounge with open cannabis, but everyone walks out of a lounge with open cannabis. There's never been a person that didn't walk out of a lounge with open cannabis, because in a bar, I understand you can't walk out with your drink, but in a bar, you're able to order like a single serving product, right? You give me a beer, not a 6-pack. Give me a glass of wine, not the whole bottle. But for a lounge, we're stuck with what the manufacturers make, which is bigger products. So people are going to buy what they're going to buy to take home, and they're going to open it in the lounge, they're going to use some of it, and they're going to be able to bring it home with them. We're not in a position to pat down people and see what kind of cannabis they're leaving with. That's not something that will happen. So, you know, it's not regulated. The lounge is not regulated by the state. You can walk out of there with product. There's publicly traded companies that own lounges in Illinois that have been doing that for years. But it does bring up a very good point that we're going to take, and that, like, for example, these are like secure bags that we could sell in the lounge, and we could educate people that how they need to transport the product so they don't get in trouble. And so that's really the issue, is that we can, you know, provide good education. We're going to have those like little table tents of information. One side's going to have like Uber, QR code if you need a ride, some hotel QR code right there if you need a reservation. One side will be like, you know, you have to put the stuff in the trunk, and, you know, it needs to be in a secure case if it's not in the trunk. Basically, if it's part of your car, just like open alcohol, that's illegal, but you can put it in your trunk. So that's the same rules. So I think that it does open the door up for the education in the room, and to be able to provide some low-cost storage things that lock. And then, you know, at least in Illinois, people shouldn't have a problem. So you might just want to look at that one, that section. That's all I got. Any questions?
Well, I got one question. My sister-in-law in Springfield, she has taken some medical marijuana. She has cancer. Mm-hmm. They said she would die a year ago, but she's still going. It's amazing how she's doing.
Fantastic.
She got a prescription from her doctor. Are you getting any prescriptions out there for medical marijuana? So 2 things. First, I want to clarify one thing, that it's not a prescription, because a prescription's a federal thing that, you know, that they actually say, oh, there's a dosage and how many times a day you're going to take it. So the doctors don't have anything to do with that, with the medical cannabis card. I have a medical cannabis card too. But the doctor's role in it is just a one-time thing to check that you have a diagnosis that meets the state of Illinois'
list of conditions that qualify for a card. So if someone, has a spinal injury, they qualify. The doctor will, either that doctor may have diagnosed that problem, so they know firsthand that they have that, or the patient could bring in a diagnosis from somewhere else that maybe wasn't cannabis friendly, and now this doctor will sign the form. And then they get the card, they bring the card in the store, and that's, in a medical store, they have to show their card, and then they get like 2% tax instead of 30. So in Illinois, they didn't add any more medical licenses other than the initial 50 that were granted back in 2015, that we had one of them. And so those 50 are mostly now owned by bigger companies like Cresco. They have a medical one in Champaign. But what we're lobbying, our independent part of the industry, dispensaries and growers, we're trying to get the state legislators to allow medical patients to use any dispensary, whether it's adult use or medical, and then the system would accept it and provide the 2% tax instead of the 30%. That's something that we're lobbying with. There's a few things that are like getting caught up in politics, with the hemp, the smoke shops and their high THC products that they're not supposed to be selling. So there's like a lot of that stuff's being tied up. One of the other things that's like in the same bill that we're trying to work with to get the medical patients some relief is a drive-through, which we set up a drive-through like with the city 2 years ago before we built the building, and we're ready to go. Like, it's just like Burger King in there. We got the booth and the drive-through lane, and we're ready to go. But the state needs to pass that law, and then we could do it. But the one thing I just want to mention about the medical part, even though people don't get a medical card, it doesn't mean they're not using the cannabis for medical purposes, And when we talk to you guys next Tuesday, Amy Lee is going to give a great little presentation on the endocannabinoid system, so you can see how our bodies interact with that. But it's complicated to get a medical card, so people don't always do that. It costs money to go to the doctor to get the card. You have to pay the state. You might have to drive farther to find a medical dispensary. So, people are, it's legal. Forget it. I can just go. I don't need the hassle of all these other things. But that doesn't mean that they're just want to get high all the time. We've seen that firsthand with the last store we had. It's hard to get a medical card too in Illinois sometimes.
Okay.
All right. Well, you guys know where to find me if you want to talk about any of these things. I'd love to talk about it, but thank you.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
That's all I have, Chairman.
Okay, anyone else wish to address the Public Works Committee? Okay. Moving on, Chairman's comments. Just watch the weather.
Yeah.
Get up at 3 a.m. and look out and see if it's started to snow yet, right? Dave's all ready for it. But hopefully we'll be on the outside edge and only get a dusting. But anyway, be safe out there. Okay, moving on to item 6, approval of the payrolls. These will be the payrolls from February the 7th. Need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Pashard,
Yes.
Wands, Wilson,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Iverson, O'Kane,
Yes.
Hoare,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. Item number 7 will be the approval of the vouchers payable. These will be a special run from February the 10th and the regular run from February 11th. I need a motion and a second, please.
So move.
Second.
Okay, questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Wands,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Iverson, O'Kane,
Yes.
Pashard,
Yes.
Hoare,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. Item number 8, public transportation, Director White, item of information in your monthly report.
The only thing I got is the for the engine that I spoke to you guys about has been mailed out. They have to be to City Hall March 21st at 10 a.m. So hopefully we'll get plenty back and get that started because we really could use that bus back. And that's all I have, Chairman.
Who works on that? Is it Kaufman's?
No, this will actually go to
Back
Cummings in
Oh, okay.
Peoria. That's where we hope we get it from, because we want to. For the same price, you can get a new one as a rebuilt
Oh, okay,
one,
that's
so.
a replay, okay. Yeah. Any questions?
I have a
Yes.
comment.
Yes.
This past week, there was a few of us that went over to the DMT to take a tour. Mr. White gave us a very nice tour, and I had no idea of how complicated and all the different division things that goes on there. So I really, any of the aldermen that would like to take a tour, I'm sure he'd be more than willing to show them and explain things to them. But it's a really amazing system. It really is.
Right, thank you. All righty, moving on to item number 9, Public Works Director Rui. We have 9A, an ordinance approving the purchase of real estate at 18 East 5th Street for sanitary sewer alignment along Jefferson Street. Need a motion and a second, please?
So moved. Second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ongoing project, right?
Yeah. So essentially what you have here is the acquisition of a property that is on where East 5th Street turns to the north along Jefferson Street. The intent and purpose of acquiring this property is to avoid a costly swerve in the sewer system. That it would require the sewer system to go around Care Muffler and then back down East 5th Street and onto Jefferson. If this property is acquired, the sewer realignment could go straight through. It's just a straight shot, which would save the city of Danville a substantial amount of dollars by acquiring this. Essentially, it makes it a gravity feed sewer instead of a forced pump sewer, right, Eric?
A pump station.
A pump station would need to be installed if this property was not acquired.
Kind of a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yes.
Other questions, comments? Okay, roll call, please, on 8A.
Alderman Wilson,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Iverson, O'Kane,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Hoare,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. 9B is an ordinance approving the purchase of real estate for community improvement for 125 North Vermillion Street and amending the fiscal year 24-25 Fund 310 budget. Need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah, so 125 North Vermillion Street is currently occupied by DC Fitness. That is the structure that is located directly to the south of the two buildings that have recently been not demolished but pushed in that are owned by the city of Danville and Chart Records to the north of that. Upon further investigation, the DC Fitness was what we're referring it to, 125 North Vermillion. The structure is in poor condition. The liability that the city may sustain with the demolition of the two city-owned properties is the repair of the north-facing wall. If anybody takes a good look at it, there is some, we think, pretty severe structural issues with the entirety of the north-facing wall. Essentially, the city did an investigation of the entire structure to see what would it take to salvage 125 North Vermillion. The entire roof of the structure is decayed and could collapse, to be quite frank with you, within a couple of years. We don't know. The third floor was almost unenterable. So it has sustained water damage for years and years and years, which is maybe the reason why the north wall is crumbling. So we have to demolish, the city of Danville has to demolish the buildings already owned. In turn, may make us liable for the DC Fitness repair of the wall. So it's either acquiring it, the DC Fitness building, or potentially spending an exuberant amount of dollars repairing the DC Fitness building, which may or may not have any fixable value.
Alderman Wands.
Why would we fix a wall if the roof's shot? I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, we're talking a lot of money to put, if the steel beams and such what are deteriorated, we'd have so much money into it that it wouldn't be feasible to.
Yeah.
Who would buy it? Who would want it?
Yeah, right. So the city has tried to assist developers along to see if they were interested in fixing and redeveloping this space. Since it hit the market, I believe it was a couple of months ago that it hit the market for sale. The liability question is a legal one that I don't know if we have the answer to. I do know that in the past, the city of Danville has demolished structures and fixed adjacent walls due to responsibility. So we may or may not be on the hook for the repair of a large wall.
Well, as a preservationist, I like to see anything saved that can be saved within reason, but I would have a hard time putting that kind of money. I think we're talking millions to save it. So,
yeah, we did. This is not just Logan Cronk's expertise. I did have an architect take a look at that wall, and a lot of the structure that they could see from the exterior. So we did receive an expert opinion on the stability of the building, but we did not receive a cost report. We did not pay for that service.
Anyone else? Alderman Butler.
You're right. Yeah, I see the cost of the purchase there. Do we have a cost of the demolition?
No, we do not have a cost of the demolition. Really, we wouldn't know what the real cost is until it gets publicly bid. Right now, I can tell you the demolition bid market is strong in favor of the city of Danville. The current climate for demolitions, as we can tell from the Brizzy bid and other bids we've gone out, now's the time if we're going to be taking on any large or substantial demolitions. But I could give you a rough number, a guess, but they've been coming in lower than my guesses as of late.
Yeah, okay. Now I was just wondering about where the funding gonna be coming from. Once we purchase, the building, if we're gonna have the fund to demo the building.
We should have the funding to demolish this if that's the decision of the city council.
Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Alderman Butler,
Yes.
Iverson, O'Kane,
Yes.
Pichard,
Yes.
Wands,
yes,
Wilson,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. 9C is an ordinance amending the Danville City Code, Chapter 91, Cannabis Consumption Facility. Need a motion and a second, please.
So move.
Second.
Okay. Yeah, so before digging into the actual Chapter 91 tonight, the system is a little complex for how this is going to be considered next Tuesday at full city council. And that's the same for the next item. So essentially, the zoning chapter, which currently does not allow for cannabis consumption lounges, went to planning and zoning last week. That's Chapter 150, and there is a sentence in Chapter 150 that does not allow for cannabis consumption lounges. That ordinance, removing that language, will be coming to City Council next week. And then it kicks it straight to Chapter 91 for the regulation and licensing of cannabis consumption lounges, okay? So there'll be 2 ordinances next Tuesday. The creation of this proposed Chapter 91 for regulating and licensing cannabis consumption facilities was a group of pretty much all departments of the city of Danville. We brought together Public Works, Community Development, Legal, City Clerk, the mayor, and DPD. And we used examples from Carbondale and Tilton, and I know that Chief Yates had extensive conversations with both 7 Point and the village of Tilton to learn from their problems that they've had in the past. So a lot of that is from other communities, the language that you see before you. Other language that's included outside of what other communities have listed is indeed from the experiences of other dispensaries and the quote-unquote problem areas that they've experienced. And then for regulations and items like that, you should be pretty familiar with it, like licensing. It's a direct copy of the liquor ordinance. So the licensing will operate the exact same fashion, the exact same fees, and the penalties and the withdrawal of licenses, that is from the liquor ordinance as well. So I guess if we just want to open it up for questions, we can start there.
Alderman O'Kane.
First question, how many other lounges are there in the state roughly, and where is the state's legislation on this, and how does it deal with us?
So we do refer to the state's laws in here. So
Is that a separate thing that came after the initial?
I don't actually know if it did come separate or not. Did it?
It's all part of the same act.
Okay.
The lounges are legal in Illinois, and they don't regulate them once they're open. They'll continue to regulate the dispensary, and they do inspections, but they're not going to come in a lounge.
So we're familiar with three other municipalities, but I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, Mundelein has 2 or 3 themselves.
Does the state come in and set up regulations too, besides us? Or is it just written in, I don't know how much the state gets involved with even right now.
Yeah, I do not believe that they come down and they regulate them. There is some items listed in the act, but it doesn't go any further than that.
And the mayor's the commissioner, I assume?
Correct.
And who'd be the assistant besides Yates?
So it's written into the code that just like the liquor licensing, the city clerk's office would be the deputy, per se.
I know you mentioned the chief's name a while ago, and he's not here to speak for himself, but do you remember what he had? Will he be here next week?
He will.
You let him speak for himself. I don't know what his assumption was of what he learned.
I'll let him speak for himself, but he was very influential for the creation of this ordinance.
Alderman Butler.
And this law, does it affect all dispensaries in Illinois?
No, this ordinance is just for the city of Danville.
Just for the city of Danville that we created. And
Correct.
why did we create it?
It is to install some type of regulations and regulatory actions, just like the bars, just like beer and liquor. Yeah. The city of Danville needs to have some sort of regulatory action for this type of licensing.
Yeah, okay, so does this regulation there applies to the other one that's out there? What's that, Sunny Side, whatever it is?
Yeah, so I need to make it clear that this is not just for 7 Point. This would be there would be 2 other consumption lounges that would be allowed in the city of Danville. 3 total.
They'll be under the same guidelines
Same
exactly.
guidelines. Yes.
It'd be for the other dispensaries, the one at Sunnyside that's already there and the new one that's coming on the other side of 74.
Okay.
So they could they could have a lounge as well.
Mm-hmm.
If they met all the guidelines.
Right. Right, and so once they meet the guideline, they would be able to have a consumption lounge.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now I saw one part there too. There, it's down here somewhere that that they would be responsible if somebody open up the bag or whatever there, that the city wouldn't be responsible, that dispensary would be responsible. And how?
I think Brad was
Yeah,
Brad
you're speaking
brought
about
that
open
up about
containers.
open container, leaving it.
Right,
Right now, if you go in a consumption, or you go in a dispensary and buy a product,
right.
you can't open it up in the store.
Oh, you're right, in the
But
store, but once
They're
you
gonna
get
be
out,
they're gonna be purchasing to go into the lounge,
the lounge,
so they will have to open it.
right.
And that's what Brad was talking about, is how do we regulate that? They're not gonna smoke everything they purchased to,
You know,
and
out
then
in the
go,
parking lot,
you know.
huh? Okay,
So that's why he was talking about providing a secure bag that would lock, that
yeah,
would meet the guidelines of being secured, but.
okay.
Oh, better anymore?
Y'all count, yes, I think that's it. Just as long as they reach meet the guidelines, you know, I don't see anything wrong with it.
And I know they met extensively with Chief Yates and things, going over things that, you know, what can, we want to make this as safe as possible, as, you know. They want to protect themselves too, not only everybody else, but themselves from any, you know, liability and things.
Yeah, right there, as long as we consistent, you know,
Right.
with the rest of them, you know, I don't have any issue.
Can Chief Yates let us know what transportation involves, if that bag is going to be enough to legally transport once it's been opened, and or whatever, you know?
As long as you don't go across state line.
Well,
I mean, seriously.
but is it legal to, is it legal to have an open one going down the road?
In your trunk.
They can put, is it, not your opinion, is it legal to do that?
It's just like open alcohol.
You can put it in your trunk,
Your trunk or
like a pistol. You got
in a locked box or whatever. But in
It
your
can't be
trunk,
accessible
if the
to
trunk
you.
locks itself, then you're good. But like an SUV where you don't have a trunk that locks, that's like part of your
That's,
car. that
that's
you-
that's alcohol, yes.
Right. So
What
cannabis
is the,
same.
is there written regulations on
Correct.
cannabis?
Correct.
And Chief Yates will explain that next week.
Yeah. He can answer
That's
that.
why I
next week.
brought, that's why they make these bags. It's for cannabis. It locks.
But is that something you have, or is it something state
We could sell
recognizes?
it. We could sell it. They're available in the market.
Does the state recognize it?
The state police actually have their own version of these with
Okay.
ISP on there, and they make them available to dispensaries sometimes for free.
Okay, well, that sounds smart.
Right, but that's our business. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
We're highly regulated, so we have to know these things.
Chairman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor T.
Oh, Vice Mayor.
My question has already been answered.
Okay.
Thank you, clerk.
All right. See no other? Roll call, please.
Alderman Iverson, O'Kane,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Wands,
No,
Wilson,
Yes.
Butler,
No.
Poor,
Yes.
4 yes.
4 yes, thank you very much. Moving on to 9D, an ordinance amending the Danville City Code, Chapter 155, Commercial Solar Projects. Need a motion and a second, please.
So move.
Second.
Okay, we had this last week too, didn't we? At the zoning.
Yeah, at zoning, correct. So essentially, what you have here is, again, moving language outside of Chapter 150, which is the zoning code. That is the current only regulation that we have on small and large scale solar projects, so residential versus commercial style solar. What we've seen as new, larger solar developments have started popping up all over the city of Danville is there's several shortcomings in just having something in your zoning code for that. There's very little regulation on the city side on how they're actually built. We only really can regulate the use as it's currently written. Okay, so setbacks, lot coverage, heights, things like that, but that's it. What this does is really get the city of Danville back up to where all the other communities are at on their solar ordinances. We are probably one of the last communities to adopt something like this. And this code essentially is going to be the building code for solar sites. It requires a plethora of more items than we have been in the past, like glare studies, more detailed decommissioning reports. You have to show us proof of actual having the financing to decommission the solar sites. It's hopefully going to protect the city of Danville 30 or 40 years down the line when these solar panels are no longer in useful life, okay? You'll see there's a lot going on in Chapter 155, the proposed ordinance for these. But the big items to highlight are, right now in the current City of Danville zoning code, the large array solar sites are allowed, permitted use by right in light industrial and general industrial. The proposed change is to make those special use permit only. And the thought behind that is hopefully the City of Danville can individually choose the locations where these are being proposed for one sole reason, and that is to protect what little industrial commercial ground that is available in the City of Danville. That is one of the large negative aspects to these large solar arrays. They're building them where all the utilities are available, and they'll be there for 50 years. So places like FedEx, that's prime ground for solar because they're really close to the substation. They both require the same things. And we see more value in a 300,000 square foot warehouse than in a solar field. Yes, there's a place for all of them, but we need to protect what little ground we have left for economic development. That's the idea behind the special use permit. Beyond that, if you just read through the rest of it, it is, as you heard in a couple of city council meetings ago, the county does not regulate with solar panel sites within our 1.5 mile zoning jurisdiction. That's a complication that we need to get rectified really quickly because there's already been 2 developed with no regulation from the City of Danville or the county. So put the onus on the City of Danville to regulate that. We do have zoning jurisdiction. It's not going to be a large time burden or administrative burden for city staff to take what little are going to be developed moving forward. Any other big things? The one other big item that we've put in here for change is the overall application documents that are required for a solar panel site to be developed in the city. Okay, so you've got glare, noise, an actual visualization study. How bad does this? How does this negatively impact the surrounding area or the neighbors? Right. So we're going to take it all in and take responsibility for the after use. So that's toxicity reports in the soils once the solar sites are being decommissioned, where are the solar panels going, etc. So going from the bare basic regulations to hopefully what we see is pretty regulatory so we can have a good grip on how these sites are being developed.
More importantly, decommissioned too. I mean, that's a big problem.
Yeah,
Company goes out of business or
the
walks away
upfront is also equally important. I know it's not thought into, but the city staff has been having some pretty negative experiences for the planning and early phases of solar sites, and we think that this ordinance would help with that.
Well, you've hit every point that is important. I mean,
yeah, we didn't just create this from scratch. Mumachu and I went through almost every single state of Illinois solar ordinance that you can find that's somewhat relatable to the city of Danville.
nice that the county would adopt this.
Yeah, and actually we took some of their pieces as well, so we can have some similarities.
Alderman Butler.
And so what you're saying is that y'all know where I live at on Kimball Street. I got a lot across the street there. If I were to want to build a house there, for example, and I want to go totally solar, so I would have to go through a bunch of red tape, or do I have to go through the neighbors? I'll just come strictly to the city and ask permission. Now, in that area there, will I have issues?
Are you speaking about a residential or just a residential solar panel site or an
Residential, or if I want to go like solar panels, to do like a garden?
Yeah, so small
neighborhood garden.
small solar arrays, which there's a size limitation. So what you would typically think is a residential solar array on the roof or on the ground, we would consider them small. Underneath 5 acres, that has a completely different set of rules. That stays in Chapter 150 regulations as an accessory structure. It does not have to abide by these guidelines for small solar panel sites.
Okay. Or if I want to put one on my house?
Correct. Yeah.
Same deal.
That does not fall under this ordinance.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there she is. Oh, we need to get a little button or something.
Alderman O'Kane had his hand up,
Either or.
Oh,
but I'll wait till after him since he's on the committee.
Okay. So how retro will this be to the existing ones?
Yeah, what has started and has a building permit currently active, we will not be able to require these items.
Okay, and then what can we do as far as building codes and stuff like that in the 1.5 miles? Have we got jurisdiction on that?
Yeah, so we can impose this chapter on the 1.5 mile jurisdiction. They will be required to file for a building permit even outside of our jurisdiction, but it still is in our zoning jurisdiction.
Right. Zoning, I've been there all along. And is there can you name a city close to us that you looked at, like Urbana or someplace?
Yeah, Mumachu, you might be able to help me, but Vermilion County being one, and Urbana. Champaign-Urbana, we did. Theirs is much more extensive than even this, but you'll see some similarities between the two. Yeah.
Okay. Can't even read my own writing now. Okay. He'll come back to me, but go ahead, Nate.
all right.
You asked the
Mayor.
question I was about to ask, which was about the existing ones.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Alderman O'Kane,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Iverson, Poor,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. 9E is an ordinance amending the Danville City Code, Chapter 160, Historic Preservation. Need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Okay.
So this ordinance is hopefully going to provide state historic incentives for downtown Danville. I want to make a clarification that you'll see throughout the highlighted language that's being added, local, keeps popping up in the ordinance. And the intent behind that is to remove the requirement of needing to go to the City of Danville's Historic Preservation Commission for improvements to be made to downtown businesses. So what essentially is the attempt, if this is approved, is to create a downtown historic preservation district through the state of Illinois. And we've been in contact and consulted with DDI, and they have in turn consulted with most, if not all, of the downtown business owners and property owners. The number one concern that they had was, well, if this is going to be considered a historic district, am I going to have to submit to the City of Danville design regulations, and do I have to abide by historic guidelines every single time I change a window or do facade repairs, things like that? Because that is a current requirement in the Lincoln Park Historic District. They made it very clear that they do not want this historic district if they have to do that. So the ordinance that is being proposed allows for Lincoln Park Historic District to operate as its own separate local historic district and the creation of a downtown historic district that is regulated and provides local tax incentives by the state of Illinois for downtown Danville. There will be state regulations for historic items if the building owner is applying for a tax credit through the state of Illinois, okay? But everybody else, business as usual, follow just the normal building standards.
Alderman Butler.
So will that ordinance to keep them from getting funding if they fall under that status quo of 100 years there, for example, historical building?
Would it keep this ordinance keep them from getting funding?
Right.
No, this ordinance is to allow for them to tap into state funding.
To tap into.
Yes, and remove the requirement of being regulated by the city of Danville for making repairs on their buildings.
Gotcha.
Alderman Teague?
Logan, just a clarification. You don't mean to prevent them from being regulated by the city of Danville. You mean by the Historic Preservation
Yeah,
Commission.
the city of Danville's historic regulation guidelines. Yeah, correct. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
So the references to the commission here is simply, and I'll admit that I did not read this in advance, is simply to say that they're not regulated by the commission, or is there a separate commission being created for them?
For the downtown district?
Yes.
No, it would strictly be regulated by the state of Illinois.
Okay.
Okay. Roll call.
Alderman Pashard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Iverson, O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. 9F is a resolution amending the contract amount for the Lakeside Drive, Eastgate Drive, and Woodland Trace Pump Station improvements. Need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Hey, who's doing that?
Okay,
Eric?
I'm doing that. Logan, you can take a break. This is to amend the contract, the original contract for $980,386 for replacement of 3 pump stations, as you can see in the resolution: Lakeside Drive, Eastgate Drive, and Woodland Trace. And it's for change orders, which are attached as well, for $63,231.44. And basically, there was extensive electrical changes, one being on Woodland Trace, to have to go across the street to tie into a transformer. That was one big change order. Replacing, or not replacing, but adding a fence around the Woodland Trace. We originally just had a fence panel at the electrical panels, and we got some pushback from the adjacent homeowners there that had envisioned a fence going around there, but we had worked out just a panel, but then, so that cost an additional cost there. On the Lakeside Drive, we had some extra asphalt that was needed to improve the drainage there once we got into resetting that pump station. And there was a water main that had to get relocated and the force main to be cut in. There was more hot mix asphalt that was needed to get that to all drain properly there. And then on the Eastgate Drive, again, it was electrical. We found out that the existing overhead pole was in such poor condition that Ameren would not attach their meter to it without replacing the pole. So we went back to the contractor to get a change order, and it turned out that the overhead was more costly than going underground. So that was a change order that we had to take on for the Eastgate pump station. And then there were some mechanical changes that was, once we got into putting all the pipes together, there was some modifications we had to do there. So.
Okay, questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Wands,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Iverson, O'Kane,
Yes.
Pashard,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. 9G is a resolution approving a professional service agreement for the Riverfront Trail concept design and amending the fiscal year 24-25 Fund 107 budget. Need a motion and second?
So move.
Second.
Okay, this one is for a professional agreement with the Lockmuir Group on what we're calling the Riverfront Trail concept design. And basically, this is behind the Civic Center, tying in from Walnut and South Street up Riker Court and along the what we're calling the riverfront there behind the Civic Center, and going with a trail system down, potentially down to the river itself. If you recall, back in 2016, we had a big concept plan, and it was the, I think, U of I architectural groups had presented a bunch of concepts and so forth. And so to move forward with this, with the funding that we have dedicated to this project, this will also include to get a boundary and topographic survey of that whole area as well that we don't have today. So we'll be able to get a survey done along with concept designs that we can determine to construct. And so basically it'll be like a trail or shared use path that'll go down Riker Court, and there potentially could be 1 to 2 lookouts. That's a concept that we're looking at now. But once we get all this, we'll have a firm cost, and then we can get into the actual construction of it.
Alderman Butler.
Yes, I see we got one cost, and then we're gonna transfer another cost.
That's a good question, Alderman Butler. Yeah, we are going to create a fund, what is Fund 715. I guess I'll defer to Comptroller to explain that.
So in 2023, when we received the $1 million from the casino for the Riverfront project, it was put into it was deposited, and it was not encumbered or put aside for a special fund for proprietary funds, which is this money was supposed to go to this project. So at that time, the money was rolled forward and moved into account 107 at the close of that 2023 fiscal year. So now we're having to pull the funds back out of 107 and move them and create the new proprietary fund where they would be secured for this project.
Oh, okay. I see now. Okay.
Other questions? Okay, roll call, please.
One quick question.
Oh, Alderman O'Kane.
Now, trails and stuff sound great. Is it going to be accessible to everybody, the people that have a hard time getting around and stuff? Is that part of the plans?
That is the plan. We're going to try as best we can to make it all ADA and accessible for all pedestrians. That's the intent.
As much as possible. Yep. From my understanding, on the east end, there may be some difficulty that might be switched back, but as much of it as possible will be handicap accessible.
Yep.
Yes, I got one more question.
Okay.
So, you know, it's a whole lot to read there. Is this just for the design, or is this for the project itself? To do all the work and the design together?
Yeah, this is just for the concept design, so that we can get into, once we determine what we want to put as far as the trail and, you know, the extent of it with the lookouts and everything, and then we'd get into what we call phase 2, which would actually be the engineering and structural design plans for constructing it.
And so that's what that extra money is for, you know, when we transfer that money to do the construction work. So you had the smaller costs there.
The $160,000 is the fee for the design.
Fee for the design.
The rest, then the other.
That's the money.
Yeah, they're just moving the $1 million into a separate account.
Right.
Then the 169 will come out of that new account, leaving the balance of 700-some thousand.
Yeah, okay, that because it didn't read that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Iverson, O'Kane,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Hoare,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. 9H is a resolution approving a professional service agreement for the downtown Phase 1 sanitary sewer rehab program. Need a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, this is for a professional service agreement. In 2023, we had engaged RJN Group to do a sanitary sewer evaluation survey of all the downtown sanitary sewer lines and manholes. And they came up with 2 phases, and this is the first phase to engage them to do the design for the repairs and rehab of the sewer lines and manholes. Within the first phase, they estimated it would be about $1.3 million on the first phase to do all this work. And then this also is a contract for construction observation. Once we get it out to bid to a contractor, they will assist with, which they did very similar to when we did the, if you recall, the Jackson Voorhees. We did something very similar there where we did sewer lining and manhole rehab. As you probably can suspect, downtown has a lot of aging sewer lines and brick manholes that are essentially failing, and we have to do something downtown to get that repaired and rehabbed. So this is a contract to RJN Group to do that first phase.
Alderman O'Kane.
Are you gonna be able to line any of it, or is it gonna be all reconstruction?
Well, there's a lot of it will be lined. Yeah, there will be a few lines that they'll have to replace, but
As old as some of that is.
yeah.
Is this just sanitary now?
This is just sanitary, yes.
Is there any storm sewers in the same area that?
Same line.
Well, we did a lot of storm sewer work with the downtown revitalization, the $3 million that we spent there. Justin Houston, our engineer, along with Clark Dietz, we looked at a lot of that, and we improved a lot of that storm sewer. But yes, if we see anything along the way, yeah, we may add that as well if we're crossing it and we see that we could potentially.
They can't be in the same ditch, but if they're close by.
Understood, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Butler,
Yes.
Iverson, O'Kane,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Hoare,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. 9I is a resolution approving the emergency repairs to the yard waste horizontal grinder and a budget amendment to the fiscal year 24-25 solid waste budget. Need a motion and a second, please.
So moved. Second.
Who talks now, Dave?
All right. Yeah, we'll give Eric and Logan both a break now. So this is for the yard waste site grinder. It is currently down, not operational, so we're not able to keep up with our EPA requirements once the yard waste site opens here this spring. So it's coming up pretty quick. The grinder, it's the feed conveyor, basically. Some of there were some parts that got messed up, and the conveyor is now down. So we don't know if you recall here, I think last year or 2 years ago, that had to go through some major repairs. We are not 100% sure if this was damage caused by that wasn't seen at the time and has surfaced since then through use. It's been used quite a bit since its return into service. However, these are new issues that have arisen after talking to Administrator Carpenter. He is fairly confident that this completes the replacement of most of the parts on that machine. So he feels pretty confident that after this repair, it'll be in good working order. But this is one of those emergency repairs where, unfortunately, this is the best of bad options. So getting this repaired gets it repaired. Replacement is an extremely hefty amount. So, yeah.
This is the one that had the metal run through it?
Yep.
that had found inside of a tree.
Yep.
Yeah, done a lot of damage. I don't remember what the repair job was, but I remember it was quite a bit of money.
It was quite a bit of money.
Everything except this stuff.
Yep. According to Mr. Carpenter, that's about what it was. So.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Alderman O'Kane?
Yes.
Pritchard?
Yes.
Wands?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Butler?
Yes.
Iverson? Poor?
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. 9J, items of information.
Just say be watching the weather this week. I would just say we're all prepared and ready to go. We had a meeting this afternoon. Trucks are all geared up and ready for whatever we need to react to.
Right.
Well,
Tell me what it is.
Well, everybody's going. I mean, all the other communities are at 3 a.m. Boy, we're ready. We're closing schools. We're enacting snow routes and everything else.
Yeah. So that's we're gonna kind of see what falls. There's I was just looking at it before the meeting. I mean, there's odds we don't get a lot, and there's odds we can get up to, I think 3 to 5 inches. So I guess we'll see how it tracks as it gets closer, but we'll have an eye on it.
Plenty of salt, right?
Plenty of salt.
It's not the snow, it's the ice.
Yeah.
That's the scary part.
Okay. Are we going to close session from this meeting? No. Okay.
Yeah. Before,
Oh.
I've got one thing. Due to the quick turnaround of this grant application, I'm hoping to get your blessing to bring a application for a grant to the next city council meeting. I will tell you that we've been made aware of another rehabilitation grant opportunity, not nearly as significant as our current IDA. But it is an IDA grant opportunity. I will be able to disclose more information about this program next Tuesday, but with your permission, I'd like to bring that resolution next Tuesday.
Get the money while the money's right.
Right. It's a pretty quick turnaround for us, and we may not be back to City Council for another consideration by
great.
the time of application.
It sounds like the federal grants are unfroze for now.
Yeah, business as usual right now.
Well, yeah.
That's my response.
Okay. All righty. Items of information, anybody from the committee, or you want to wait till the next meeting? All righty. Having satisfied the agenda, motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Who said we'd be finished by 6:30? Brad's fault.
pretty sick.
What about the house?
I think maybe what we
Dude,
had,
that
but I'm
flu,
not
that
sure.
respiratory thing is bad.
It's bad.
It's the worst that they've seen in.
He worked for this, say, this fall. He was gone for 2 weeks.
It's, I mean, it's
The Roman Ludwig.
If he could breathe.
it's the it's worse. It's worse than this year than ever.
And Mike, it's been going up and down for me. Like I started to, by Saturday night, I was feeling real good. Woke up, went to church. By the time the afternoon came along,
Are they giving shots for this? Somebody said something about a shot.
I
Or is that
didn't.
just for
I
the
got
A?
Tamiflu. I had A, and they gave me Tamiflu. So, where is hold on one minute.
Wait, no, E.
Yes.
No, he's.
It's just that it changed back to the regular side. That's all. I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 meeting. Let the time reflect that it is 7:20 p.m. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Ricky Williams Jr.,
Present.
Alderman Ed Butler,
Here.
Heidi Wilson,
Present.
Carolyn Wands,
Present.
James Bouchard,
Present.
Mike O'Kane,
Here.
Bob Iverson, Mike Poor,
Present.
Rick Streebing,
Here.
Sherry Pickering, Eve Ludwig,
Present.
Tricia Teague,
Present.
Robert Williams, Darren York,
Here.
John Cooper,
Here.
11 present.
11 present. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum. This time I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Madam Clerk, at this time we will receive public comment.
I have one card this evening. Did anyone else wish to speak? Ma'am, did you wish to speak? Okay. Sorry. Please come to the podium and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. I have Brenda Brown of Danville regarding the recent firing.
Good evening to the mayor and the fellow councilmen and the staff and administration and corporate counsel. I won't take much of your time, but I hope I can say what I have to say in 3 minutes. I do ask you to take heed and listen to what I'm saying. And at one time, there's a guy, Herbert Taylor, was a businessman. And he was asked to take over a company that was about to go bankrupt. So he sat down and did some thinking about what to do as far as business ethics go. And now, the thoughts that he put to paper has now become the 4-way test for Rotary. And I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the maybe some Rotarians here, I don't know. But the 4-way test goes like this. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? I say this in regards to the firing of Administrator Sandra Finch. I don't know all the particulars. I've heard rumors. I don't know why and how it all come about. But when I first heard it, it was very disturbing, knowing that she's been here for these 35 years. And if I'm correct, this came about with these 7 plaintiffs here, and that we would have a human relations director. And to my knowing, she's done a good job for the years that she's been here, which has been a number of years. So it was disturbing. I got upset, I got mad, and I stopped. And this is what first came to mind, the 4-way test. And as we would go into Rotary meeting, we would recite this. And these are the things that we think, say, and do. So before we make decisions, before we get angry, before we will make statements that we may regret later, we take the 4-way test. So that's what I did when I got this news of the firing of Administrator Sandra Finch. It hurts the community. Danville's come a long way. We want to go further. But we're going to hurt ourselves with these type of activities and acts that happen in our city administration. So to the council, to our mayor, our corporate council, and all that's concerned, think about your four-way test that I just gave you. Just think about that in your business, when you're making decisions on city council, mayor, when you're making decisions for the city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alderwoman Brown.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening? Seeing none, at this time, I would entertain a motion to go into closed section under Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss specific employees. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Seeing none, a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Butler,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Pashard,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Iverson, Poor,
Yes.
Strebing,
Yes.
Pickering, Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
No.
Williams, York,
Yes.
Cooper,
No.
9 yes.
9 yes, we will go into closed session. There will be no action taken after closed session. I would entertain a motion to return to open session.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Having satisfied the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.